Can you hear me now? Zen.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
No
Now
complaints
the
at all.
sound is quite good.
Told you,
No.
you're freaking out about nothing.
Yeah, well, once I press the button go live, magic happens.
Boom. That's what we're here for.
Boom, yeah. Okay. Well, are we ready? Shall we introduce some rum people out there?
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Let's do it. On this
All right.
Friday,
Well,
Friday night for you.
It is,
Yeah.
but still early. So, yeah, well, hi everyone. Welcome to the German Worthy Park Masterclass tasting together with Zan, live from Jamaica. Yeah, we're happy that you're here. Unfortunately, we can't see you, but you can see us. So if any questions appear, just, let us know, write them down. And I hope to reply soon. Wait, let me check how I've checked this on Facebook as well. So we're live, that I know. So Zan, how's the weather over there? Here
It's hot.
Sucks.
It's hot. It's sweaty and hot. We go from having tropical storms to sweating our butt off to tropical storms to sweating our butt off. So right now we're in sweat our butt off mode. It's like 30, 29 degrees, something like that.
Well, I would say I'm sorry, but I'm not, because we have rain forever.
Yeah.
Today's like the first nice sunny day for a week or some, or longer. The weather here has been shitty, so you didn't miss out on anything.
I know. I usually have the privilege of catching German weather in like October, where it's sunny and nice in the day, and then freezing and snowing at night.
True.
So I don't miss that at all.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay, I'm doing this for the first time on this platform, so excuse my sound issues here, but I need to see the people's questions, so I got my phone next to me.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And yeah, to start off, I'll play a nice and small little video if I can share my screen. Here we go. Which one is it? This one. Alrighty. Oops, that's us again.
There you go.
Can you see it? Yay!
Yay.
It works. I'm such a tech pro. This way we might also have some more people joining the tasting now.
Cool.
Watching your beautiful landscape.
Yeah. It's always still so fun to watch.
It's definitely worth a trip. No, it doesn't. But you'll go more into detail into what we see right now later. So this is really
I'll
just
talk
to
a little.
Get an overview. Yeah, this is just for impressions.
It's always better to see it in video than just hearing me talk about it and looking at my
Of course.
my ugly face all day. But This is basically what it looks like when we're harvesting cane by machine.
But you do it more with hands still, right?
Yeah, so this is one of the few spots at Worthy Park that is pretty flat. So in these spots, we can use the cane harvesting machines, but about 80% of our field we still cut by hand. And it's just, it's by nature of the topography of the land. Can you hear me when I talk over the music? I would just stop here
and continue the video later, so we don't run dry. Yeah, I can. Perfectly. Let's continue the video after we have something to drink, because we're all thirsty, I would say.
Yeah, well, I know it's nighttime for you guys, so we definitely want to get some rum in your cup. And I think the first one we have on deck is Rum Bar Gold. So if you guys can start, if you can start pouring in your cup, I'm going to go through it with the tasting notes and everything shortly. But I just wanted to introduce kind of a little bit about Worthy Park, a little bit more. And first off, just thank you everybody for being here. I know Nina spent a lot of time at Rumfest last week, probably with a lot of you, but now it's unfortunately I couldn't make it out there just with all the lovely travel restrictions we have these days, but I'll get out there soon again. Yes.
Next year a BCB, we count on you.
Definitely. But Worthy Park Estate, we are Jamaica's single estate producer, so you'll hear me talk a lot about that as we go through the production. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Zan. I forget my title all the time because I do a little bit of everything, but I'm the commercial manager for spirits. So I used to focus primarily on the export side of Worthy Park, but now I've also look over the local market. I do a little bit of work with product development, from the production side, a little bit of sales, a little bit of marketing, a little bit of logistics, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of everything here at Worthy Park. So, but that's a little bit about me. Obviously, Nina, for those of you that don't know her, she is with 1423, and she basically has a huge portfolio of rums and gins and other spirits that she does. But the most important one that she does is
Worthy Park. Don't let Thomas hear this. Oh, Jesus, he'll kill me tomorrow.
I know, put you on the spot, but it's okay, Thomas. She says that for whichever tasting she's doing. But we'll move on a little bit about, obviously we're talking about Jamaica. This is our flag. Our Jamaican flag is green, gold, and black. The green representing the land, the fertile soil that we have, the lush vegetation, the yellow for the sun and the warmth, and the black is for the strength and resiliency of our people. This is a very common, I wouldn't say common flag, but we fly it very proudly here in Jamaica. And you always know a Jamaican when you see them traveling, because if we're not wearing the flag on its own, we're either you'll see us a lot in the colors of our country. So that is our Jamaican flag. Now, when you think of Jamaica, I feel like most people, whether you've been here or not, and I'm just going to assume that most people haven't been here, but
Zan, I'm sorry, that was my mistake. We missed the Jamaican flag in the beginning.
Oh, Nina,
because I didn't share your screen. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So everyone's like, what the hell is he talking about? But this is our Jamaican flag. So rewind and replay everything that you just heard. But this is a flag that I was just referring to. Now, when you think of Jamaica, I feel like I'm going to assume most of you haven't been to Jamaica. But I feel like Jamaica is one of those islands that no matter where you are in the world, if somebody says or mentions Jamaica to you, you have some kind of association with the island. It could be our beaches. This is Negril Beach in Jamaica. I think you went there, Nina. I'm not too sure, but that's Negril White Sand Beach.
Happen.
It could be our waterfalls. This is Dunn's River Falls out in Ocherius.
Paminda walked that one. I didn't, because I
You
know
didn't-
myself well enough.
Oh my God.
Fall.
My 5-year-old daughter does it. I don't know what you're complaining about.
Yeah, well, but I'm clumsy.
It could be our food. Obviously, jerk chicken and this is what we call pan chicken is a very big part of what people associate with Jamaica. It could be our coffee. Our Blue Mountain coffee, of course, is one of our prized.
That is so expensive, Zan. I wanted to buy this blue coffee.
Blue
It's
Mountain.
insane.
Yeah,
Mountain, yes, but
I
it's
mean,
very expensive.
Good stuff. You pay for quality, and
That is true.
that is so much like our rums and everything else. We're not cheap.
True.
But
I think touristy area. That's why I wanted to buy it. That's my own fault, I think.
It is good. You can go hiking in Blue Mountain. I have a guide that I use quite a bit or hire quite a bit to take up, and he'll take you to, these really small coffee farms where they're, roasting the coffee beans, right there in front of you, and making coffee. And I don't know, the coffee definitely tastes a lot better when you're drinking it, 2,000 meters above sea level. But this is another thing that we're associated with. Obviously, if anybody watched the Olympics, our track teams are phenomenal, and our women actually our women are historically stronger than our men in track. But like most things, but this is our 4x100 women's relays, and I'm gonna brag a little bit about them because the two ladies on the left here, Elaine and Shelly Ann, are two of the fastest women, the second and third fastest women of all time. Just saying.
Wow.
Cool. It could be our, the Rasta ganja culture that we do have in Jamaica. It could be our reggae artists. This is Coffee, for example, who's, I know she's one of Nina's favorites, and she's a big favorite across the island. But I feel like there's always something that is going to gravitate you towards the island. For all intents and purposes today, that's going to be rum that we're talking about. So I'll go into a little bit more of the history of Jamaica, history of Worthy Park, and then, of course, the rums that we're going to go through as well. So, again, thank you, everybody, for joining, and we're going to have some fun.
For sure. And who joined just now, that is the first rum we're having in the glass right now, the gold, just for everyone who just...
Yeah,
well,
and I haven't gone through the introduction of it yet, but at least it'll give you something to wet your lips while I'm talking. And I'm told I sound better after a couple glasses of rum, anyways. All right, so no comments. Historically speaking, you can't really talk about Jamaica without talking about where, who the first people were on the island, and they are the Tainos. Are the Arawaks, who came from the northern part of South America. They inhabited the island relatively peacefully until the arrival of the man named Christopher Columbus, who landed in Jamaica in 1494 and claimed it for the Spanish. They were very interested in gold, not much gold in Jamaica. So it really wasn't a big colony for them. They had anywhere upwards of about 2,000 plus people maximum here. But they inhabited the island, and the first Spanish colonizers arrived in 1509 with Juan de Esquivel, who was appointed governor. And coincidentally, that was the same year that sugarcane was introduced on the island from Haiti. So sugarcane is not indigenous to Jamaica, not indigenous to the Caribbean, but it came over very early with the Spanish, bringing it over. It's estimated about 80 to 90% of the Tainos died within the first 30 years of the Spanish arriving on the island. Now, which brings us, if you
I'm sorry, Zan, that's me again. I'm just trying to figure out if there's questions.
No problem. Taínos died with
Okay, you're good.
So
sorry.
The British captured Jamaica in 1655. They tried to capture Hispaniola, which was a huge Spanish colony. They got their asses kicked there, and instead of going back empty-handed, they sailed towards Jamaica. And they came with about 7,500 troops, easily taking over the island, which at the time wasn't very heavily defended. Now, one thing is important to note: the Spaniards, a lot of their enslaved Africans that they brought over, they freed when they were fleeing the island, and a lot of the freed Africans went and lived in the mountains with the Taínos and became known as the Maroons, which were some of the most, which put up a fierce resistance to the British colony and fought them pretty successfully until 1739 when they had a truce. But the Maroons are a big part of Jamaican history as well. So after the British captured the island, they basically wanted to repeat what they did in Barbados, and Jamaica being about 27 times the size of Barbados. There was a lot of land. There was a lot of room for planting cane, for starting plantations. So Sir Thomas Montfort came over from Barbados, and basically tried to create the plantocracy that they had over there in Barbados. Obviously, it was very successful, and Jamaica quickly became, kind of the crown jewel of the British colonies until 1962, when Jamaica gained its independence. So we've been an independent country ever since, for 50 plus years since there, and we still are a parliamentary government. The Queen is technically the head of state, even though we are a sovereign, independent nation. But all that history leads us right into rum, right? So I guess by now you probably all have Rum Bar Gold in your glass, or I don't know if anyone's making cocktails with it right now, or if they're just tasting it neat. But whichever way you choose to enjoy it is fine by me. So before we go into more about the history of distillation at Worthy Park, I will let you know Rum Bar Gold was the first age rum that we launched under the Rum Bar brand. And we launched that in 2014. In Jamaica, when we make an age statement, it has to be the youngest drop of rum in the bottle. So when we say it's a 4-year-old rum, it means that the youngest rum is 4 years old. It will have a little bit of older rum in it, but based on Jamaica laws and the way that we operate, we can only say 4 years old. All of our rum is aged in 100% American white oak ex-bourbon barrels, and we get most of them from Brown-Forman out in the States. With all of our rums too, here in Jamaica and at Worthy Park, there's no sugar added, so any sweetness that you have come through is just from the esters or just from the barrel aging as well. Now, tasting wise, I'm gonna pretend I have rum in my glass, but I don't. But
didn't I send you a package? I'm sorry.
No, you didn't actually. But
well, you have all the rum there.
I know. Actually, I know. I do have the package. But you didn't send it to me. Josh did. So big up, Josh.
Yeah, blame on him. He's watching. It's you, Josh.
But on the nose, if I did have Rum Bar Gold in my glass, I would say you get a lot of those overripe bananas, which are really not only noticeable in Jamaican rum, but definitely here at Worthy Park, we do get a lot of those overripe bananas. You get some stewed apples, and you get kind of a rich toffee, almost a burnt caramel on the nose, and some light custard and light vanilla as well. Now, if you take a little sip of it, I always recommend you take a little sip, coat your palate, then take the second sip, and you'll start to really experience those flavors. On the mouth, it's definitely a full flavored rum. You get a little bit of that rawness that comes with the unaged spirit, or funkiness, as we like to describe Jamaican rum. But again, those sweet vanilla and custard notes come through, and almost like a creamy fudge. And then on the finish, it's a long, and it really does mellow out towards the back end of it. Rum Bar Gold, it's done fantastic with us in the tropical drink scene, the cocktail scene. But for me, I usually just drink it over ice or in like a highball, like a rum and coke or rum and ginger beer or something like that. But yeah, this is Rum Bar Gold for everybody. Cheers.
Cheers. I really like it, and I don't have to say it, but it's a very smooth Jamaican rum, which I really enjoy. Also drinking pure, not only as a cocktail. So to me, it's a little underestimated. How is that the right word? Like, it has so much body and so much power, and people just need to taste it because it's so good, and the price is amazing. So please have a sip, enjoy the gold. I love it. I hope you like it too. So
yeah, we have a saying. I don't know if you heard it when you were down here. It's in Pato. It's Wiliko but Witaloa, meaning like we're small, but we're underestimated, but we're very strong. We punch above our weight, and I feel like a lot of our rums are like that. And I think it's kind of like the DNA of Worthy Park, where we don't do a lot of the big splashy, flashy stuff, but we're just focused on just making some good quality rum and getting it to the people that good. Yeah. There's a lot of simplicity in a positive way with the rums that we do.
For sure.
Cool.
I hope people like it as well.
Yeah. You seen any comments on there?
Honestly, I hope that I have all the channels available right now to answer to you. But yeah, well, everyone is cheering, that I see.
All right, that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
It is.
We're gonna go. I'm gonna introduce the next rum as well, just so if people are finished with Rum Bar Gold and they want to kind of sip on the next one, if that's cool with you, Nina.
Of course.
So we're gonna jump right into, and just so everybody knows, I've structured it based on ABV. So we're kind of moving along as we get stronger and stronger with the rum that we're tasting. So the first one from the Worthy Park official line that we're tasting is our Worthy Park Single Estate Reserve. So we had our rum bar line out. That's kind of what got us on the quote unquote back onto the rum scene. But we always knew that, with the history that we have at Worthy Park, and I'll go into that again a little bit too, we wanted to have that Worthy Park flagship brand. So this is the first rum that we released. And this is my baby, because this is, the first one that, I was involved with from kind of start to finish in terms of product development, liquid development, labeling, everything to get to. So this one has a special place near and dear to my heart. But we picked up, we chose a much heavier bottle because we wanted it to stand out not only on a back bar, but like on a retail shelf, or if you're at home and you wanted to, impress, your visitors, or you're celebrating. So it's really heavy. The bottle has a lot of weight to it. It's got the synthetic cork stopper with a wooden top. So it, the packaging that we went with is, again, simple, but we wanted it to really be impactful in people's lives, in people's lives. And, but, the bottle shape too, we wanted to have a unique bottle that hasn't been seen in the rum world. Now there's a couple brands, I won't name them, that have started using this bottle shape, but we were the first. Always remember that.
It's a sexy bottle, so it's a compliment.
Yes, yeah. Thank you.
If others use it, yeah.
But but this blend now is a blend of our rums between 6 and 10 years old, and we wanted to go for that really classic Jamaican pot still, aged Jamaican pot still rum. So we've again aged this one in American White Oak ex bourbon, but we've bottled this at 45%. So a little bit, just slightly higher than the standard 40% that you see, because we just thought our rum shined and really does well at that ABV. So I'm gonna again swirl my glass.
That is so sad.
Listen, it's 1:00. If Josh has sent me a ton of spreadsheets I need to go through after this, so it's not Friday night for me. But so yes, with this one on the nose, you're going to get that really. You get up front, you get some light tobacco, and you get a lot more of the oakiness from the longer years in the barrel. This time you get a little bit of spicier fruit. I'd say some raisins, plums, and you start to get that light vanilla after a few smells of it. Now, if you got a little bit in your mouth, what's cool is coming right after Rum Bar Gold, you can see what the additional years of aging tropically has done. Because it both start with the same base liquid, and we just age it longer for this one. So on the mouth, you get, again, rich and luscious tropical fruits, but you see it starts to get a little creamier too. Soft, buttery, creamy texture. And then it does get a little bit, I don't want to say bitter in a bad way, but you start to get some of these, softer tannic notes. And then again, you get rounded out by toasted oak and a little bit of nutmeg there. Now on the finish, and this starts to speak to kind of like that Worthy Park DNA, you get this kind of hint of black pepper, almost gingery, a briny finish to it, which is very signature for Worthy Park. And I think is one of the things where you're drinking a Worthy Park when you get a lot of these notes on the back. It's just this really soft, dry finish on it. So even though it's at 45 degrees, it's a little punchier up front, but I really feel like it just works well, not only in like an elevated cocktail, but as a nice, rum after dinner aperitif. Yeah, is what you call it. Trying to get fancy. But this is Worthy Park Single Estate Reserve. So cheers to everybody who has that in their glass right now.
Cheerio.
What do you think, Nina? What is your thoughts on it? I need to get some rum in my glass.
Well, I have a bottle here at home with me, so that speaks for itself. I really like the single estate because it has some of the typical Jamaican flavor without being too penetrant, without being too.
Did you just
heavy.
Did you just make up a word?
Yes, I did.
Penetrant.
It's German.
What is it? Is it a real? It's a real German word.
Consist like right in your face. Yeah, it's a German word. Shit,
Wait.
I thought you didn't notice.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce you to our most penetrant rum that we offer at Worthy Park. Speaking of, have you seen the 200 mLs that we have? Have you seen these?
No, of course I haven't. I always get to see things last. You might know by now.
Yeah, Josh doesn't share anything with you.
No, of course he isn't. Keep hiding.
We're just gonna keep calling out Josh the whole time. I also add just kind of randomly that I think that you get a lot of people who say they like, or they'll ask you, is this a sipping rum or is it a mixing rum? For me, it's like I have no problem making cocktails with quote unquote sipping rums because it's like when you're cooking, right? Like if you use a shitty olive oil to cook your food in, it's gonna turn out pretty shitty. And I feel like that for rum too. Like if I'm using shitty rum in a cocktail, it's not gonna make the best cocktail. But if I'm gonna use amazing great rum for my cocktail, it's probably gonna make an amazing or greater cocktail rum.
Yeah, honestly, people are often judging when you drink rum and Coke.
Yeah.
But if you have a great rum and Coke can be amazing and so different from what you're used to from when you were 18 or 17, whatever. Especially the 109 with Coke is amazing. And I fear telling people drink it with Coke because they might judge me, but it's outstanding. So I would go. There's like one or two people in Germany. They're attending mostly every tasting. I don't know if they're joining right now. If so, hi. And they're testing every rum with Coke first.
Yeah, but it makes sense, right? I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it.
It does.
But enjoy, everybody. I have rum in my glass now. You know what is so funny with this rum? It's like whenever we go to like, you know, the shows or at BCB or Rumfest or any of those, and it's like I'll go through and I'll drink so much rum in the day, and then when I get back to like single state reserve and I drink it, it's like, man, I'm biased. I'm completely biased, but it is like I really love it. I think it's such a great representation of Worthy Park, and I think it's like the backbone for, you know, all our whole portfolio, like our whole lineup of aged rums. I think it really is a good base for everything else. But
Sure.
yeah, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about history more, if you're up for that. So
I'm just checking the word in English.
Penetrant. It's okay, Nina. It's okay. If you hear me speak German, you'll probably make fun of me just as much.
Maybe.
All right. So Worthy Park history specifically. So we go back. Our history dates back to 1670. Lieutenant Francis Price was the original founder of Worthy Park. At the time, again, it was, you know, the plantocracy was trying to take off here in Jamaica, and Lieutenant Francis Price, the proclamation at the time was, you know, you could patent as much land as you could harvest in the next 6 months. And he found or came across Worthy Park, and 840 acres he patented. And to this day, the 840 acres that he patented in 1670 are still some of the most fertile cane growing lands in the valley that we're in. So it's really cool. And since Lieutenant Francis Price, now the Clark family is the ownership of Worthy Park, and they're the fourth family in 350 plus years to own and operate Worthy Park, which is a pretty cool history. We started sugar cultivation in 1720. We've done it every year since, commercially. And rum production, we have our first record of rum production in 1741. And if you can see my little pointer here, this document is actually in the Spanish Town Archives. And it shows that in 1741, we made 8,201 pots of sugar and 3,000 gallons of rum. Excuse me. This is the earliest record of rum out of any of the current rum distilleries on island. So we're not the first ever in Jamaica to make rum, but out of all the existing distilleries, we have the first record of rum production. So we're pretty proud of that. But we didn't do it straight through. We actually stopped in 1962. Before that, we made rum much like we made sugar. It was a commodity. You know, we made the rum from the molasses that we're making at the sugar factory. We sold it to blenders or traders or bottlers, but we never had a Worthy Park brand. So in 1962, when there was an oversupply of Jamaican rum, the Spirits Pool, which is, you know, the governing association of rum in Jamaica, they put out basically an option for people making rum to stop. And our sugar factory at the time, we didn't have any brands. We didn't have much equity tied up in making rum. So we came out of rum production and we started selling our molasses on the open market to other distilleries. Now, come to 2004, Gordon, who's our current CEO, he, you know, basically presented to his family that there's an opportunity to get back into rum. And they agreed, started building the distillery. And in 2005, we returned back to rum making. So after 43 or so years, we started making rum again at Worthy Park. So that's kind of a brief history of what we're doing here at Worthy Park. Now, Worthy Park, in current day, we are one big company with three kind of separate business operations. So we have our sugar farm, we have our sugar factory, and we have our distillery. And while we're all one company, we all operate kind of separately. So our distillery, for example, will buy our molasses from the sugar factory. The sugar factory buys the cane from the sugar farm. So that's kind of, in a way, how we operate as three different distilleries. And a lot of that is just because of the different regulations here in Jamaica, with all three of the industries being very regulated. Now, if we go on to a little bit more about Jamaica, where we're located, we are here in the Caribbean Sea. We are 8,437 kilometers from Berlin. So I wish it was a direct flight, but yeah, no, but it would probably be about, I'd say about 8 hours, 9 hours direct flight. But we're just south of Cuba, really close to Haiti and Cayman, kind of on the east and west. And to the south of us would be, Central America, Panama, and Colombia if you went directly south. This is a little close-up of Jamaica, and I've highlighted actually all the other distilleries on the island. So just to give you an idea of where everything's located. So we're about an hour north of Kingston, about an hour south, 45 minutes south of Ocho Rios. And then you see there's Long Pond and Hamden out in Trelawney. You got Appleton out in St. Elizabeth, and you've got New Yarmouth and Money Musk Sugar Factory in Clarendon. So we're the only distillery in St. Catherine. And I'd like to say we're kind of right in the dead center, middle of Jamaica. Now, if we zoom in a little more, you can see this is an overview of all of Worthy Park. We're 10,000 acres total. Our land, we're surrounded by mountains. So we're in this really unique kind of terroir, this unique, very ecosystem where we're protected by the mountains, but we do get the advantage of all the kind of heat and humidity of the island, but we get really cool nights as well, and a lot more rain here than most parts of the island. Now we're going to keep zooming in, and this is, even though we're 10,000 acres, a lot of our operation, so to speak, is very, very tight where it's located. So when you're coming in from the road, you pass our distillery. Then our main offices, we built a sugar bagging plant about 4 years ago. So we're bagging our sugar. We have our garage for obviously all the equipment and vehicles that we have. We have our sugar factory that is the biggest footprint. And then we have a lot of houses located throughout Worthy Park as well, because we are kind of a little bit of our own community here, so to speak, just based on where we're located. And we are very much a rural agricultural industry, or we are in a very rural and agricultural industry in a rural part of Jamaica. So out in the country, as we like to call it.
And on this map, do you know approximately where's this cool branded rum bar that Parminda and I went to? It's not far. That was like a 2-minute drive only.
A little bit more. Wait, which one did you go to again? Did I take you?
The first one? No.
No.
We went there by ourselves, unfortunately.
So the one in Louidasville, I'll go back to this map, is like right in here. So I think that's the one you went to in there.
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah, because that is the closest. And there's like, in this little stretch, there's 13 different rum bars. They are just a big part of the culture.
It is, but there will be pictures later, right?
I think so.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
It's very special.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to take a little sip there. So our sugarcane fields, we kind of showed it a little bit in the video, but we do most of our cane harvesting by hand, about 80% of our land. We have 20 plus different varieties of sugarcane here at Worthy Park, but most of them are within the first of the first top 3, I would say, different varieties of sugarcane. Cane season is between January and July, so that's when we do all of our harvesting. That's when we do all of our cutting of cane. That's when all the cane production happens. And outside of that, so like right now, it's just farm work. So we're just going back, replanting cane fields, just taking care of the land until we're ready to cut again.
Me? Oh, sorry, I was just replying to a question talking about ester rums in the rums that we're tasting, but I think that we can put this to the white rums because then it might also fit a bit better.
I can talk a little. I'll talk a little bit more when we get to the white rums, but both the Rum Bar Gold and Worthy Park Single Estate Reserve that you tasted are the mark WPL. So that's typically what we've done most of our aging with over the years. So it's a light for pot still Jamaican rum. It's what we consider light esters, but it's still anywhere between 60 to about 119 parts per million. So it's compared to column or any other types of production, it's very high. But compared to what we are capable of doing at Worthy Park, it's on the lighter side, or what we call the lighter side of it. Any questions? Any questions about sugarcane? Nope. All right.
Not yet that I see. No.
Well, I mean, listen, I can jump back and forth if anybody has any more questions, but I feel like everybody's probably ready for another rum because we do have a lot of rums to go through.
It's really cool that those are in the tasting kit, I have to say.
Yes. Why is that cool, Nina?
That is a good question, Zan. No, no, they have been sold out quite quickly, at least from my side. They might be available in some shops still, but not everyone had the chance to taste them. Whereas the gold and the single estate, the rumba, we have at shows quite often. But the limited editions, they are so hard to get that it's quite unique to have those in a tasting kit right now.
Good answer. Good answer. No, I was just
I didn't prepare for it.
I was teeing it up for you. So I'll give everybody a little bit of background while you're pouring this. So we started working with 1423 in about 2016. They were actually the first. So I started in 2015, and 1423 was the first like real partnership that I was involved in. So y'all have a very close place in my heart.
Oh my God, I need a tissue.
That's why I love Josh. That's why Joshy is
thanks.
Yeah. But so anyway, so fast forward a couple of years, and he was asking us if we were doing any secondary aging, any cask finishing, and really and truly the cost of filling a container in Europe with barrels and bringing it to Jamaica is a lot of money. And we weren't really ready to make that investment without knowing if it was, going to be a successful venture. So we partnered with 1423, and what we did is we first aged in ex-bourbon barrels here in Jamaica. Then we sent rums to your warehouses in Denmark, and we did secondary aging there. So a lot of people maybe, if anybody is here as a Worthy Park fan, they may be familiar with, we've done Oloroso, Marsala, PX Sherry, Quattro Vins, Virgin Oak, a couple different port releases. So we did, I think the total was 9. We did about 9 releases with you guys. And we saw that there was, some success in it. And so we made the investment to bring barrels to Jamaica. So the first sets that we brought down port, Madeira, Cognac, and Calvados. And we started, doing different aging, secondary aging of different age rums directly here at Worthy Park. So it's really cool because we're the first distillery in Jamaica to start doing this, and the first to release any that are 100% distillery aged with barrels not ex-bourbon, if I explain that properly.
Yeah.
But this first one is the port, and it's a port 2010. So what we did is we distilled it and started aging in 2010. In 2018, we emptied those barrels and put them into port barrels, ex-Ruby port, and we left them in there for 2 years. And this is what we're presenting to you now. It's the Worthy Park Port 2010 is the official name for this. And we only did, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but it was 3 barrels total, I think, that we did for Europe, for all of Europe.
Yeah, so, it was not easy to get bottles.
No. But I'm happy that some made it over there. Now, tasting-wise, like Nina said, I don't even have one here in my open one in my office. I'm saving that for when I'm older. But the tasting notes, you do get a lot of the sweet caramel that is very common and prevalent with all the rums. Those tropical fruit notes are still there. You get a little bit of that banana, naseberry, which is a very popular Jamaican fruit, come to mind. But then you start to see, or you start to smell, I should say, some of the tannic bitterness that you get typically from red wine, and in this case from the port. So on the mouth now, you do again get that caramel like sweetness with the first sip, and you get those fruit flavors start coming through. And then as it starts to develop on your palate, you get a little bit more dried fruit notes. Again, those raisins kind of pop out again, which are quite common in Worthy Park notes. And I think on the finish is where you start to see, start to taste a little bit more of the port influence. Because you start to get some of that astringency of the red wine and almost a little bit of sweetness. And it's just, I feel like it's just a really well balanced, complex rum where, we do put them in dry barrels, so they're completely empty. So it's not like we're blending port with rum. All those port notes that you're getting are only from the secondary aging in the barrel. So yeah, I love it. I love this one. I think it's great. I don't know what your all feedback is. What you think about this one.
I like it. I have tasted it once before. Tonight, I feel it's even better than the first time I tasted it. And the port comes
you've only
through
tasted it once?
a lot.
You've only tasted it once?
The Danish team, is Joshua has been cheap on me as well when it comes to this. So I had one bottle for me, and I'm really keeping it slow in drinking it.
Well, Josh should
keep all the tasting kits for me.
Right? Poor Josh is just getting called out left, right, and center here.
I think he left a long time ago.
Oh, did he? Bastard.
He can't stand that I'm blaming him for everything.
But we're going to move right into the second limited special cast series, and that is a Madeira. And if anybody likes this picture here, it's from Nina. She also doubles as a photographer. So this one, the Madeira, it's the same distillation year as the port, except instead of putting it 2 years in port, we obviously put this one 2 years in Madeira. So what's really cool is you can see the difference if you have them side by side still. You can see the difference that the port barrel made to the rum versus a Madeira. So it's a really cool kind of side by side. And again, on the nose, you still get that same sweet caramel, vanilla, the spices and oak influence from the years in the oak barrels. You get the natural sweetness, caramel, vanilla, but then you start to get a little bit more aggressive notes of the black pepper and the ginger. Again, those very typical Worthy Park notes. And then at the end, on the finish of this one, I feel like you get a lot of tropical fruits, and then you get that kind of acidity and Madeira influence kind of on the end of it as well. So I don't know which I like them both. I bounce between which one I like better.
In the nose, I think the Madeira, when you compare it, I don't know how to really describe it, but when you compare it to singing, there's a high voice, there's a low voice, or a very deep voice like yours compared to mine. The first one is really heavy and deep, and the first one is very light and fresh, so to say. So in the nose, it's very different. In the taste, it also varies. But as you say, it's hard to decide which one I like better because they're different for sure.
Which one is more penetrative to you? Or what was the word that again?
Asshole.
No, but they're great. And again, we purposely, we bottle them at 45%. Alessandra, I see he commented he likes both of them as well. We bottle them at 45% because we just felt like they do very well at 45. Our rums do, and because we start with such a heavy, estery rums. Even though it's a lighter ABV, you're still gonna get a lot of complexity and a lot of depth and flavor, even though it's a lower ABV.
Yeah.
So.
It's cool. I like it. Continue what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Nina. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. While people have a taste, oh, this is exactly what I have as a video right now. Shall we switch
Let's do it.
the video? Okay, cool. So you guys keep enjoying the rum. It was really cool to visit this. You're offering tours, right, by now?
We are not of the sugar factory, but of the distillery. Yeah. So yeah, our sugar factory operates 6 months of the year, and one of the other cool things that we do is, we generate electricity at the sugar factory. So the leftover cane fibers, or bagasse as we call it, we burn that and it creates steam, and the steam then creates electricity. So we have the steam turbines going. So we generate most of the electricity for Worthy Park here at the sugar factory.
And your business in sugar is also quite big and important, right? Because I think that's what people here might not know, because we don't have the sugar from Worthy Park in Germany. Unfortunately, it's really good sugar.
Well, I mean, we're not going to call Josh out again, but we did send them a bunch of sugar on the last order.
I have some bags, I have to admit, but I shared. Yeah,
we are the only rum distillery that still has a sugar operation, and whereas 5 years ago there were 6 other sugar factories, now there's us and one called Freu in Westmoreland, but we're the biggest sugar producer in Jamaica by volume, and most of our sugar gets sold on island, just because there's such a demand for sugar, and we're the largest commercial sugar factory left. So it's a very big part of our business. Hopefully, as the years grow, rum starts to supersede that. But Nina still has few more cases to sell in Germany before that happens.
Well, it's small packages. We're not talking like big bags. It's like 2 small bags that I got.
Oh no, I mean, you have a lot more rum to sell before we can.
Oh yeah, that I do. I do for sure. Yeah, sorry.
But we sell everything from, if you go to the supermarket here, you'll see Worthy Park sugar on the shelves. And we have everything from like 500 gram bags up into 50 kg bags of sugar. So yeah, so that's a little bit of our sugar factory. We're the most efficient sugar factory on the island of the 2, but we have been, even when there was others, since 1968. And you measure efficiency of sugar production by the ton of cane it takes to make a ton of sugar. And right now, for this year, it was just over 9 tons of cane it took to make a ton of sugar. Just for comparison's sake, the next closest sugar factory is about 13 tons of cane per ton of sugar. So we're definitely more efficient, which means we're, obviously makes us more profitable and better operating, which is probably why we're the only one left. And this is an overview of kind of the sugar factory. So, in past, historically, you used to have your, where you crush the sugar separate from the boiling house, but now everything happens under the same roof. And our sugar factory has always been in the same spot. It's obviously grown over the years, has gotten more automated, but it's still essentially in the same spot as it has been since we started. In the valley of Worthy Park, where Worthy Park is located, there used to be about 7 other commercial sugar factories. And now we're the only one left. Over the years, through consolidation and purchasing, we've grown and grown. And sugar is very much an economies of scale business. So we've also been expanding our cane production over the years. And I think as of the end of this year, we'll have 8 total farms that we're operating and growing sugarcane at. So not just at Worthy Park. We're growing sugarcane as much as we can to get as much sugarcane as we can to the factory. Which brings us to the distillery. So when we rebuilt the distillery in 2004, this is where it was decided on being built, right by the front gate. Prior to that, distillation happened at the sugar factory. So it was very much literally right on the compound. If I go back to it, actually, I could probably show you. So right on the other side of where my cursor is, there's some trees there right now, but that's where the old still was at the sugar factory. But now we built a standalone distillery. It's 4 acres of land that it's on. And we have our distillation, fermentation in this side. This is raw materials and bottling, our aging warehouse, and this is our service building. And that in lovely pond in the back is not a swimming pond or a fishing pond. It's actually where our dunder goes, which brings us to what is an ester? So I feel like when you talk about Jamaican rum, like esters are a big part of what is talked about, especially you Germans, Nina, who love high ester rum so much so that you scare me, quite frankly, sometimes with the ability to drink high ester rum. But when we talk about esters, it's really the combination of an alcohol with a carboxylic acid, and it creates an ester. And these esters are what are the contributors to the aromas of rum. So all those fruity notes, like the banana, the overripe banana, the pineapple, those are all different esters. For all intents and purposes, we refer to esters as ethyl acetate, but there's a whole list of congeners that we measure when we're talking about rum. Now, actually, I'll go to the next slide, which should resonate with a lot of you. So rum verschnitt, obviously, when you talk about Jamaican rum and high ester rum, you can't talk about it without talking about rum verschnitt. And it, over the years in the 1800s, Jamaican rum became very popular in Germany. And then about 1889, Germany increased the import duty on Jamaican rum. So what was the answer to get around that? The answer was creating a very high ester rum that was almost just used as an essence or the flavor for a quote unquote drinking rum. So that would get shipped over to Germany in bulk, would get blended with essentially neutral spirit over there. And that became known as rum verschnitt. And correct me if I'm wrong, because my German history
No, you say it really right.
Okay.
It sounds good, though.
So now, on the flip side, in Jamaica now, so Jamaica tax, because everything's about tax, right? So the Jamaican government realized that with this increase in esters of rum, that less rum by volume was leaving the island. So they were missing out on their taxation as well. So what was the Jamaican answer to that? Well, they set in 1934, they capped the legal limit of rum at 1,600 grams per hectoliter of absolute alcohol. So even though a lot of distilleries were capable of making much higher than 1,600 grams per hectoliter of esters, Jamaican law capped it.
So it's the German fault again.
Yeah, blame the Germans, man. Blame Germany. But a lot of those high ester, that tradition. I mean, you can also blame, thank the Germans, I guess, in a way too, because a lot of those traditions are still relevant and still in production in some distilleries here in Jamaica right now.
But it's the best answer to give Germans when they ask, why can't I have more than 1,600? Your own fault.
Yeah, blame your ancestors. Do you want to drink a little bit more rum?
Of course.
This one, I mean, I feel like Nina should be introducing this rum because this is her baby. She's Miss 109.
Way.
Um,
Well, I think everyone who joins right now knows the product for sure because I'm pushing it everywhere. And the cocktail competition went crazy. I went shopping today because I have to rebuild 21 recipes by now. On one hand, I am happy that some missed the deadlines because otherwise it would have been 44 recipes. So it's only 21. But my shopping cart, I hope Thomas is not listening. It was so expensive. Oh my God.
yeah, well, based on the amount of rum that you're ordering, I'm sure he's okay with it.
Yeah. And we'll have some good cocktails next week with 109. So
yeah, but pour this one in your glass, and I feel like I need to give you a little bit of the background. So, one of the things that we're trying to do at Worthy Park is, I feel like one of the strengths that we like to play to is that we're small in the sense of we can be very responsive to what we feel like the market wants. And, we felt like there was, just from traveling all over the world and talking to bartenders and industry people, and a lot of discussion happens around, the styles of Jamaican rum that came out in, the 30s and 40s, right? Like when Down the Beachcomber and Trader Vic were, kind of launched the tiki trend, they used a lot of quote unquote dark Jamaican rums, right? And at the time, all Jamaican rum was pot still. And there was a lot of heavier, heavy body, flavorful rums out there, which aren't really prevalent on the market, or the ones that are out now, their formulations have changed so much over the years that it's different. So we wanted to kind of scratch that itch for people that wanted, that a dark rum, which again, we'll talk about classifications on another talk, but for all intents and purposes, you wanted a dark rum that had a higher ABV. And so we did this one at 54.5. And it's 100% pot still and 100% Jamaican rum, which is, there's nothing, it's its own market because there's nothing like this out there right now. Originally, this was going to be called Worthy Park Gunpowder Proof, but there's another company who sent us a letter, nice letter, just to let us know to inform us that they have the registered trademark for gunpowder proof, which, I mean, I'm kind of glad we got it when we did, because we got it like literally the week we were supposed to go into production on the labels. So we kind of, called our label printer, hit pause, went back to the drawing board, and it was, again, I'm going to be talk about Josh all day, but it's going to be Josh was like, why don't you call it 109? So, 54.5% is 109 proof in modern day. And we said that's kind of cool, because rum has a fascination with 151, the rum industry. So we're like, all right, this isn't 151, but it's 109. So that's where we came up with it. We obviously added a lot of caramel to it to get it to the darker color, but it is pretty much a 3-year-old rum with a little bit of unage of our high ester rum. So yeah, that is Worthy Park 109. You get a lot of those same, tropical fruit flavors, banana, pineapple, orange, but it's a little more smoky in a way. So you get that caramel aroma, almost like the burnt toffee, burnt caramel, coffee notes on the nose. Now on the mouth, you get a little bit of, you get that unaged high ester because you get some of those petrol varnish type notes. And then it just gets funky on the mouth for you. So those pineapple, apple, and guava, which are, again, some other different fruity flavors you get. It does give a little bit of a sweeter complexity to it. And it transitions to kind of caramel, toffee, and English breakfast tea is another popular, I feel like, note that you get off of it. And on the finish, it's a good balance between the caramel, toffee, and English breakfast tea, but you still get that funky astringency on the back end as well. And I think one of the biggest compliments that we get from this rum is that people are like, yo, you can drink this like neat. Because I guess in this category, the assumption is, oh, it's you won't be able to drink it straight because it's going to be too much. But I feel like one of the biggest compliments I always get from people is that they can drink it straight, and I love hearing that because it means that it's a well balanced, great blended rum, even though it's a young, high proof spirit. So
and
cheers.
I can confirm this. Just being at German Rum Fest, people tried it pure a lot, and they were all surprised how good it is pure, because they thought it's just for mixing. But in the end, as you say, it's a sipping rum as well.
Yeah.
And a question I got a couple of times, like the caramel that you add, does this do anything to taste?
I mean, it's spirit caramel, so it's a bitter caramel to begin with. So it's not like a sweet caramel like from a chocolate bar that that goes into it.
Yeah.
But I just think it's that the result of the blending of the high ester rum that we're doing with the 3-year-old age rum. It does seem like it has a little sweeter notes to it. I also had talked to one person who said to me, their question was, if I drank it blind without seeing it, would I think it's so sweet? Or is it because I'm looking at it as a dark rum and my mind is saying, oh, it's so dark, so it must be a little sweeter. I don't know, just food for thought. I thought it was an interesting question.
And honestly, I doubt that you would think it's sweet if you drank it without eyes open.
Right? So we'll have to do it. We'll have to do an actual blind taste test, where you blindfold a bunch of people.
Next time.
Next time. But again, there's no shortage. It's a new product. It just came out to market this year. So we launched it in the middle of a global pandemic, which hasn't hurt us because it's been well received. But if you want recipes for it, I mean, Nina, with your cocktail competition, you've got how many recipes now? Amazing cocktail recipes.
Online 21, but there's more.
There's more. There's so many, and
there's 21 on the page. So nice. If you want to check this out,
yeah, there's a ton. So there's a ton of great creative recipes, but I always just go straight daiquiri with everything, just because it's easy for me.
And honestly, guys, if you have some left by now, I'm not sure how quick you are in drinking. And it sounds, I explained that before, but some joined freshly. So if you drink this with Coke, it's not a shame. It tastes amazing.
Yeah.
Don't do Freeway, though. If Der Prinzessin is watching, Freeway, no.
What's that?
He calls himself Der Prinzessin, which is princess, but with a male part in front. Because, we have Der, die, das for a female, neutral male. Well, he just calls himself a princess. And he runs around shows and takes pictures with everyone except me, because he forgot me. He was making me crazy in advance to the show, says, I'll come over with my Freeway Coke and we'll take a picture. I think Freeway is from Lidl or Aldi, a cheap copy of Coke. Yeah. Wow. It's a joke. So if you're watching Prinzessin, drink.
Crazy. But that I'm gonna lead that one right into our overproof, which is our flagship on the other side, where it's this is the first rum that we came out with, and most of the largest selling rum category in Jamaica is white overproof rum. So unaged rum, 63%, is what really makes this island. Is what fuels this island. So we launched this as our first brand, and we called it Rum Bar, just in homage to the rum bars that you see all over the island. And it's a blend of three of our unaged marks. So our WPL, WPEL, and WPE. We blend in different proportions. So it goes from some of our lower ester marks to our highest ester mark, and we blend them together to to get the blend that is rum by rum. No sugar added, just like anything else, and non-chill filtered as well. This is where you really start to get that kind of, I don't want to say punch in the face, but you really get that fragrant, pungent tropical fruit flavors. And you get a lot of, now you're getting into like the overripe banana, I feel like, passion fruit, fermented pineapple, but you get some of those really grassy, vegetal, Jamaican funky notes. And a lot of, I'll taste it with a lot of people who their first inclination is to say, man, it reminds them of like agricole from Martinique. Just because you get, it's almost like you're smelling fresh cut cane. So, and then on the mouth, you're getting, it is dry, but you're getting those fruity notes still. Banana, papaya is all over it. Little buttery hints as well. And on the finish, it's a long, slow, it lingers. It does have a little bit of heat to it, but you get a little bit of this like minty eucalyptus like finish on the back end as well. So this is our baby. This is our flagship. This is our daiquiri rum for most of us, especially after a long day of work. But it just works. I mean, it can also work if you're looking at just putting, taking an existing cocktail and want to boost it up a little bit. You add maybe 2 5 CLs of it to your cocktail and just kind of take it up a little bit. But yeah, what do you think, Nina? I know this is your baby. I
mean, look at my shirt. What shall I say? It speaks for itself.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, and it's just a fun, it's just, we try to bring a lot of fun and really Jamaican vibe along with the rum by rum.
The interesting thing in Germany, I mean, I'm doing the market here only, but I think it's also going to other markets that people become more and more interested in tasting white rums as well, because they bring so much flavor that the base, basically, before you put it into barrels, has to be right.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to taste different kind of white rums. And I think rumba, I mean, we use it as a shot at BCB in the morning to get back to level. It's awesome. You can tell it has more ABV, but you can't tell it has 63. I think it's still smooth.
Yeah. It doesn't drink. It doesn't drink like it's 63. And what's interesting too, when you compare Jamaican white rums to other islands, our rum is all unaged, our white rum. And there's some islands and countries that, based on their laws, their white rum is actually aged and decolorized. So ours is really raw rum in a sense, where there's no impact from wood or barrel aging. It's really like the essence and the DNA of a distillery is how we look at white rum.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah. Someone, I think.
Then, what do you think about showing the distillery?
Yeah, show it. Show it.
What were you saying?
Show the distillery is what I was about to say.
Because we have a small video.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear the sound of the video?
I can. Yeah, I can.
Yeah? Okay, cool. I can't.
It's not loud either. It's a good volume.
Okay. That has been fun when you took us to this room.
The lab. That's where all the
magic
special
happens.
Yeah. Well, now my office has turned into that. So when you were here, I never had an office. So now I'm at the distillery. So I have my cabinet filled with rum behind me.
I'll be back.
I look forward to it.
Do you? Liar.
Yeah.
Jamaican Rum Fest maybe next year.
Apparently Josh is already booked for it.
Well, then I'm with. He said he invites me.
We'll see.
Exactly.
He didn't send you. He didn't send your name on the guest list.
Fingers crossed it can happen.
Yeah. Just to jump back into it a little bit. So you hear us talk a lot about being a single estate distillery because we do everything here at Worthy Park. So from cane, we obviously make our molasses, all fermentation, distillation, aging, blending, and bottling is done at Worthy Park, which is very unique not only in the rum world, but in the Jamaican rum world as well.
The Vorster.
All right. I think you can stop it there, Nina, if you want.
All right.
Yeah. I think it shows a little
get back
bit
to
of
your screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
here we go.
Yeah, just move on, and just so everybody knows, we're on the tail end of everything. So don't thank you for sticking with us. But I did want to talk a little bit about dunder and muck, just because I know it comes up a lot in Jamaican rum. The first thing to say is dunder from the Jamaican perspective is what we refer to as a stillage, or the leftovers from distillation. So in Jamaica, we have dunder coming off the still, and there's certain distilleries that have muck pits that they add the dunder into. I just took these pictures from a Hamden presentation. So they, on the top is what they call a muck grave. So it's just an old, muck pit that is, I don't think it's in operation anymore, but the muck pit that they're using is underneath of the fermentation house. So you can see their fermentation vats there. And the muck is literally a soup of those carboxylic acids that I talked about before that contribute to esters. And you add the dunder to that, and this soup is used in fermentation almost like a supercharger for ester creation. So it's a process that was created in the late 1800s by H.H. Cousins, who was the island chemist for the government in Jamaica at the time. And it's still a tradition that some distilleries use in this day and age. We don't, because when we started, we kind of felt we don't have those century-old muck pits that they do out west. So we didn't even want to get into it. But we came up with our own way of doing high ester rum. So, but that is what a muck pit is. And you hear a lot of, you'll read all these kind of old wives' tales about, animal carcasses and all this stuff going into it. But it's a thin line between fact and fiction. Now, to Worthy Park, what we're doing here for our yeast, we use 3 types of yeast. We use a dry activated yeast, which is commercially available. We have an isolated proprietary yeast, which is from our cane fields, and we also use a wild yeast, which is what we use to get our high ester rum. And how instead of using muck pits or anything like that, we have these pre-fermentation tanks. So we have 4 of them, and what we put in there is cane stalks, cane juice, and molasses, and we let it sit for 90 days. And those 90 days, the bacteria that develops there is what we then use for our high ester rum production. For our fermentation, we have 6 fermenters, or about 80,000 liters each. We only do closed fermentation, and our fermentation time ranges on the lighter side, about 30 hours. It's temperature controlled. And from the high ester side, there's no temperature control, and it can take anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks for that fermentation to finish. So after fermentation, what it looks like inside the fermenter. After fermentation, you're left with what we call wash, and that wash is basically the liquid that's left over after the yeast has done all the conversion of alcohol that they do, and then that wash is sent to our still. And we at Worthy Park, we use only a double retort pot still, and this is the traditional, authentic Jamaican rum made on a double retort pot still, and it really is one of the other contributing factors to that heavy body, full flavored rum that you get here at Worthy Park. Now, this is where the magic happens, for lack of a better phrase, and this is on a second level. So it's an 18,000 liter pot still that we use, and what happens is the wash goes over into this first pot. It's about 9% ABV. The alcohol vapors evaporate and condense into a low wine retort, and that's about 30% now ABV. And then that evaporates and condenses into our high wine retort, and you have now about 60% alcohol. And then it happens once more where it evaporates and condenses, and we do our rum cuts about 85 to 87% alcohol. Now, underneath that, we collect back what is called high wines, and that's from about 75 to 85%, and we put them back in the high wine retort. Then we capture back from about 60 to 75% as low wine, and we put that back into the low wine retort. And then we actually collect extra low wine, which is about 30 to 60% ABV, and we put that back in our charge pot because we're trying to extract as much rum as we can in production. That whole cycle takes about 4 to 5 hours, and it's fully automated. I don't know if anybody caught it in the video, but there's like a little touchscreen computer, and that is what controls the whole distillation process. So we're very efficient. We're very consistent in the production that we do here at Worthy Park. Now, this bad boy up here, you're probably wondering what it is. Well, it is almost like a little column still that we put on top of our pot to really try to get much lighter pot still rum. So it didn't work for a very long time, but we retrofitted it this year. So the arm now, instead of going straight across, it goes up and over. So it's very similar to the design of these. And it works now. So if we want to do like a really low wine, a low rum, we'll put the plates in. If we want to do our regular, light to heavy rum production, we just leave it open, and there's no plates in it. Sorry, did you have a question?
Finally. No. I'm just happy it works now.
Yeah. So we're doing what we call Worthy Park UL, which is our ultralight rum now, and it's a pretty light pot still, Mark, but it's really cool. Give us some more flexibility in our blends and stuff for the future.
Cool.
So I think we should talk a little bit about, because we talk so much about pot still, and what's the opposite end of the spectrum. Because again, there's a variety of stills that you can use out there, but just for comparison's sake, I'm going to compare it to a multi-column still, which is a very kind of modern industrial distillation process, whereas pot still only is very artisanal. It's a very old-fashioned way of making rum, and it dates back to 1801 with the Adams still, which is a very similar layout to the double retort. So from our still, we can only make rum. From the multi-columns, you can do everything from neutral spirit. You can do rum. You can do your vodkas, your ethanols. So you produce a variety of different. You can get a variety of different stuff off of multi-column still. And in terms of production volume, we do about 230 liters per hour versus these big guys that do about 2,500 liters per hour. So they operate about 10 times as fast, push out about 10 times the volume as we can on our little pot. So just to give you a frame of reference in the different styles of production of rum. And again, our style dates back centuries versus industrial column stills, which really didn't come to Jamaica till the early 1960s. So, quite a long time from now, but it's still very modern in terms of evolution of distillation in Jamaica. From there, we do all of our aging. I kind of mentioned it before. We have about 10,000 barrels aging since 2005. Angel share is basically the evaporation that happens per year. And there's about 4 to 6% evaporation every year at Worthy Park in our aging kind of climate, which is a little low compared to other distilleries that are located on, kind of lower, closer to sea level, because they can get upwards of 8 to 9% losses per year.
Is that also due to the weather that you have there, right?
Yeah.
As you mentioned before that you have a lot of rain
and we have a wide temperature swing, so it goes, it gets cold here at night, relatively speaking. I mean,
what's cold?
I mean, it get like 22 degrees, 23 degrees.
That's our summer right now.
Yeah, I know. We're spoiled like that, but it gets cold. Like, we're big blankets and sweaters and all that stuff at night. But most of our barrels are ex-bourbon, but we do have, like I said, those other barrels that we brought in. So this is not a picture of inside of our barrel warehouse. It's just a cool one of barrels outside. But this is more what it looks like on the inside of our aging warehouse. So we put 6 barrels on a pallet, and we go 6 high. 6. I don't know why I just had a brain fart there, but we go 6 high, and then we tag all of our barrels so we know exactly, when we put it in for aging, how much liquid we started with, what the weight was, what the ABV was, what the mark was. So, there is a lot of management. Barrel management is a critical part of what we do at the distillery here as well.
So, and is there a special reason why you put the barrels up instead of laying them?
It's space constraints, and it's just easier to move stuff around like this. So it's nothing sexy about,
I thought maybe.
Yeah, no, it's functionality, right? Like we're trying to produce a lot of rum, and we're trying to pump out a lot of rum. So, it just makes more sense.
That.
And it's easier to move around via, by forklift. Versus what we can put in. I like the footprint of our barrel warehouse for 10,000 barrels. If we were racking them, I mean, it would be significantly less.
Okay.
So
the second one.
We'll leave that to you Europeans who like to do some, do the fancy barrel racks. And then lastly, blending and bottling all happens at Worthy Park as well. So kind of complete the whole circle of pushing out rum. That's the last part of it that happens. And again, happens here at Worthy Park, which makes us truly a single estate producer.
Thanks for showing the select again. People asked me for this.
Well,
if it's in the tasting kit.
It's not.
Now you want to bring up someone else again?
Josh?
Yeah, sure.
No, but I will say that we have 70 CL bottles now for it. So definitely in 2022, we'll get it out to Europe.
Cool.
Because I know Josh
I tasted it.
Yeah, I mean, not to go into it. I know we don't have it on the tasting, but with our rum bar line and our Worthy Park line, we have kind of this big gap in kind of the middle section of the market where we thought there was another opportunity. So we thought, hey, the Worthy Park brand is doing really well and has a great name. But let's try to put something out under the Worthy Park line that can be more of a day-to-day drink. Because, the single reserve, it's still pretty pricey. So it doesn't, for everybody, it's not everybody's daily drink. Well, we still want you to drink Worthy Park on the daily. So it kind of fits right between, age, price. It fits between Rum Bar Gold and single estate reserve. And it just, I'm very happy with it. And I think it's going to, do quite well out there for us.
I agree. I'm pretty sure about this as well.
So, and again, we wanted it to be separate from single estate reserve, but you can see like the label elements are very similar. So it's like the same. It's like the cousin, right? It's like the cousin to Worthy Park single estate.
Wow.
Which brings us to our last two. rums in the tasting kit. Now, these two are pretty awesome because they're two of our unaged marks. And it's our WPL, which is our most commonly aged mark. So all of the age rums that you tasted, the base rum of it was WPL. So this is what it started like. WPE is the highest ester rum that we make. And that is what is part of our rum bar white overproof. It's the component in the 109 as well. So we use it primarily as a blending component. But just to contrast the two, they're different yeast. So it's dry activated yeast for the WPL versus wild yeast for the WPE. Fermentation time is different. You're looking at 30 hours for the WPL, 2 to 3 week fermentation for the WPE. Both are molasses. And now ester-wise is where you see the huge jump. So for some reason, this WPL is actually lighter in terms of ester value than normal, but also the WP is like even higher, is a 990 grams per hectoliter, and then total congeners or total congeners is 521 on the WPL versus 1390 in the WPE. Now, I also should add that you should never judge a rum based on its ester or congener count, because it doesn't tell you how it's going to taste, or it's not indicative of quality, so to speak, but it's just to give you frame of reference for how much compounds are in there. And the measurement of congeners as well could be different, right? So you could have 521 congeners and 521 congeners in the same grading or the same quantity, but the makeup is different, so it's going to give you a completely different taste rum. So just comparison's sake. And I should also add that these are at 85% ABV, so they're really high in alcohol percentage, but I just think it's really cool to see them side by side, so you can get like the different tasting experiences. And I apologize, I don't have those ones in front of me. So Nina, I'm going to toss it to you to give a little breakdown.
Well, first thing, fruit, all over the place.
It's like part of a well-balanced diet.
I have both, like this, at the same time, so I can directly compare them. You can definitely smell the difference. The second one, the VPE, is more sharp, so to say. First one, VPL, a little bit more soft. But the fruit notes are different in both that you get.
It's almost like your banana is getting riper, right? So it's like when you get to the WP, it's like overripe almost, and you get like that really brown, mushy banana. But WPL is a little bit on the lighter ripe side, if that makes sense.
By the way, I love that the Danish guys filled it at 70%.
Oh, did they fill it at 70? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, they did.
Well, probably better that way.
Alcohol transports flavors as well. So that was a smart move.
Yeah.
And
sorry,
it doesn't taste like it.
No.
It doesn't taste like 70%.
I feel like our rums are very deceptive that way, right? So you see it, and I think a lot of it has to do with pot still rum production too, because you're still at 75%, you're still getting a lot of flavor in it. Like there's still a high ester count, there's still a high congener count, versus when you're just getting a straight high proof alcohol off a column still, where a lot of that flavor is stripped away. So you're really just getting a lot of that like alcohol taste.
Yeah.
So
here you don't.
Yeah.
It's really smooth. And you even get like a caramelly, tobacco-ish kind of taste, but also dark fruits.
And
like plums or sherry or something like that.
And again, not to, I always say this jokingly, but, when I first talked to my team here about bottling WPE straight and people buying it at like a very high proof, they're like, what? And I go, what you say, boss? You serious? I'm like, yeah, that is what the Germans want. That's what they're used to.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a component rum for us here at the distillery, whereas WPL is one we commonly bottle straight at different ages. WP is still primarily used as a ingredient in mixing and blending.
Mm-hmm.
Now I will say,
Yeah, but I'll support. Bring it over. I'll sell it.
I know you will. I know you will. Did you have the cane juice distillate?
Yes, I do have half a bottle left at home.
Nice. So we started last year experimenting with distillation of cane juice. And that's what you have the bottle in your hand. So that's what came up with. So we've now started aging that distillate as well. So hopefully we'll have some, pretty soon, some aged cane juice distillate coming your way.
Amazing. Yeah. I had it with me at German Rum Fest, and everyone who tasted it loved it. Everyone was so flesh by the nose, so grassy, so fresh. And I think if you would do a blind tasting with that as well, nobody would know what it is. Nobody.
It would confuse a lot of palates, but in a good way.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just not what you expect from Jamaican rum, which, again, we're just trying to be, again, talking about the Jamaican rum GI is a whole another hour and a half discussion, but, there's a lot of, within the Jamaican rum GI as it is now, all of these rums can be called Jamaican rum. So it hits all the criteria for raw material, for fermentation, the water we use, the type of distillation, the type of aging, the type of blending, type of bottling. But, just at Worthy Park off one still, just goes to show the type of variety of rums we can put out. And that's not even including other distilleries that have other types of stills and are doing other variables in their production. So I think the Jamaican rum category gets lumped as, funky rum all the time, but I think there's a lot more depth and complexity than we get credit for.
For the juice, I was asked a couple of times what kind of fermentation and yeast you used.
It was light, so it would be our 30-hour fermentation. Mm-hmm. And we use for this one specifically, we use the dry activated yeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turned out well.
Yeah, thank you.
My support.
Always. And yeah, any questions? I'm showing off all Nina's pictures because they're really fun. But lastly too, if anybody, obviously Nina is our primary contact in the German market, but I'm pretty accessible as well on different social media channels or directly via email. Always happy to chat up rum and Jamaica rum with people. So Thank you, everybody.
Cool. Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
I hope you also like the ester marks. They're special. If you drink Jamaican rum first time, then it might be heavy on your palate, but I think you can manage because it's still very soft.
Yeah. And hopefully we can do this again in person.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So when are you planning to come back next year then? Huh?
Not PCB? Nah, I mean, it all depends on travel restrictions, really.
Of course. Yeah.
Like, it's not for not wanting to be out there or not being allowed to.
No, of course not.
It's a pain in the butt to get anywhere right now.
Of course.
Yeah. But thank you so much, Nina. Appreciate you and appreciate all the work you're doing in Germany.
Thank you, Zen. Great presentation. Thanks.
Yeah. And see you guys soon.
Yeah, and see you soon. If you guys have more questions, as Zen said, just reach out. Or I can stay online a little bit more, so you guys can ask questions, also in German, if you want.
Yeah, you can talk. you can talk about me in German. I promise I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah, besser ist. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Yeah.
It was great having you.
Oh, danke. That means thank you, right?
Yes.
All right.
You're learning. What was cheers? Do you remember? In German?
cheers was skull? No, that's Danish. What is it in German again?
Prost.
Prost. Yes. How could I forget that?
Yeah. You haven't been here for a while.
No.
There's one more
Guten Tag.
question.
From Christoph.
Yeah. Is the 3-year-old VPE single cast something we'll get more often now? I heard rumors about something else coming, but yeah, no spoiler.
No spoiler. I will say we started aging WPE in 2017. So I'll leave it at that.
So there's more barrels.
Yeah, there's definitely more barrels.
Cool.
Yeah, but thanks, Christoph. I saw you pretty active there with the comments. Appreciate everybody.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
Thanks for having us. Bye. Oh, wait, more questions. Questions.
All right.
The ester marks on Rumbar Silver.
Ooh, so Rumbar Silver has WPL M12, which is it's a light ester rum, but it uses the proprietary yeast. So it uses yeast from our cane fields, and it has WPEL and WPE. So it's one different mark and then different proportions on the overproof, but no WPM in it.
Cool. More questions before we say goodbye.
All right, I'm gonna give you 10 seconds. Nope. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Stop sharing.
Thank you. Well, speak to you soon, Zen.
Yep. You know how to find me. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Cheers.